Brothers and sisters, this your brother Demetrius Knuckles Hill, community activist, philosopher, poet, all around good guy, freedom fighter. And I come to you today to discuss and share with you my opinion about the Shot Stopper program that Mayor Mike Duggan of Detroit has proposed. And this program, I'll let the news tell a story. This program comes on the heels of Shot Spotter program that Mayor Duggan proposed and implemented in the city of Detroit. Shot Spotter, that's SPOTTER, is a program that was meant to detect the precise location of gunshots, to help police to identify the exact location where the gunshot came from. So that was Shot Spotter, and it has proven ineffective throughout the United States in many jurisdictions. And so now Mayor Mike Duggan introduces Shot Stopper, Shot STOPPER. And I'll let the news tell the story of what Shot Stopper is. I'll go off into this right here.
Is a community violence intervention program engaging activists by offering performance grants up to $700,000. 7 Action News reporter Simon Shakett shows us who is already stepping up to answer the call.
How do you de-escalate when it's already at that point where things could turn violent?
I don't think anybody wants to die. I don't think them guys already committed to murder. If they get something they can care about their own life, they didn't care about somebody else's life.
For Pastor Mo Hardwick, saving lives and promoting peace has always been a focus. Now he's doubling down on a new program offering funding to do that through the city.
Is it possible you get community groups to intervene to be shot stoppers?
Stop it before it get there. I got a real plan.
Hardwick says conflict resolution, along with talking and finding common ground, can and will address challenges in some of the city's most violent neighborhoods. Today we caught up with Deputy Mayor Todd Bettison to ask more about how federal funding will be used.
We're looking for community-based organizations, nonprofits. We're looking for violence interrupters that have been doing this type of work.
The deputy mayor says they plan to have their first round of organizations picked for this program by July 1st, with a review coming up just several months later. How do you measure progress, and how will payments be made based on that?
When they're in a 3 to 5 mile area, that neighborhood or those neighborhoods that they choose, if they beat the citywide trend by 10%, they'll get a performance bonus.
Bonuses can go even higher based on progress evaluations every 3 months, with an ultimate goal of saving as many lives as possible. Another activist, Sandra Turner Handy, who's channeled efforts in the 9th Precinct, laying out her clear vision.
We're all committed to making this a safe community. Our residents deserve to be able to walk their communities without fear.
You've seen our community activists, you've seen these groups actually come out, stand with the police, actually go into neighborhoods. We all know who they are.
For more information about the program and how to apply, go to WXYZ.com. From downtown, Simon Shakett, 7 Action News.
So, as you have seen, you've heard how the news described it. You've seen community activists who have agreed to apply for the money, the assistance from the government to put together a crime prevention plan to stop gun violence in the city of Detroit. Now, my opinion, the deputy mayor said something that really caught my ear. He said, if they beat the 10% city trend, they will receive funding. Now, who's going to be the judge of whether or not that community activist group has beat that 10% city trend? Who's going to be the judge of that? That's my concern. Because Detroit government, and I would not bite my tongue, Detroit government has a history of cheating, corruption, so many people who have been falsely convicted of crimes and exonerated only to be exonerated 10, 20, 30 years later, when the government still refused to acknowledge that the police in those cases were corrupt. So my concern is that the government will skew the numbers. In other words, an organization will put in great work, crime prevention. They'll stop the criminal activity from occurring in certain areas, and they've been doing great work. But it is still upon the government to be truthful and say they have done a great job, and they have succeeded beyond that 10% that the deputy mayor was referring to. And because they succeeded and went beyond that 10%, they're deserving of a certain amount of money. We need community activists to get involved. That's true. We need that. I supported 110% the idea of community activists getting involved. What I don't support is the government saying, we'll drive the car, you just sit in the back seat. And when it's time to jump out, you jump out. So, in other words, the driver will take you to where they want to go. And when they go there, they will tell you when to jump out. If this is the case, and I'm not saying this is the case, I'm saying from the facts that are out so far, if this is the case, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of no government program that tells me what to do, how and when and why to do it to help my people. I want to be a part of a program that is for the people, by the people. So yes, the idea of getting community groups involved in something that we've been involved in for years and paying us for our efforts now, which is so overdue and well-deserved, that's great. But give us the grant money and give us the steering wheel and let us drive the car. Because we know the blocks that we want to go in. We know the people that we want to deal with. We know the lingo of the land. And we don't need no government official to bag us, to try to tell us what to do, how to do it, why and when and where to do it. We don't need any of that. All we need is the necessary finance that it will take to create a unified effort in preventing violence in minority communities. What does that mean? What does that look like? What does that mean? And what does it look like? This is just my opinion. If the police have gotten millions of dollars for a program called Shot Spotter, and they have gotten millions upon millions of dollars to prevent crime from happening because they get paid to serve and protect, and they get all of these millions of dollars to do this work, how fair is it to us that they will say, amongst these organizations, these community-based organizations, we will give you all performance bonuses. We would give you all $350,000 per year. All of these, this is a group of people, 4 or 5 different community activist groups have to share in on approximately $350,000 per year. So we get $350,000 per year when we may have to employ groups of people. We may have to utilize churches and utilize community centers and utilize some people's homes. We may have to do some traveling. We may have to do some sit down. We may have to sit down with people at dinners and lunches and have discussions with these brothers and sisters out here to help talk to them and talk them away from criminal activity. We may have to do these things. That takes money. But again, the program gives $350,000 per year for 2 years. That's $700,000 altogether for several community activist groups to help prevent crime. That's one of my issues. We need more. We need more. $700,000 is not nearly enough money. Our people, helping our people is worth more than $700,000. And I'm not going to say that's a slap in our face. I'm not going to say that. Please don't mince my words. But I will say that shows the underappreciation of community activist work. We do this, keep in mind, people, we do this, we risk our lives every single day, going into the communities, talking to these young brothers and sisters, trying to steer them in the right direction, trying to steer them away from crime and gun violence, drug abuse, drug usage, drug dealing. We do this every day. We risk our lives in ways that law enforcement do not. Because many of us don't go into the community armed with weapons. We simply go into the community armed with knowledge, armed with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And we go in that community to make a difference. We go in that community to breathe life into the dead mind states of so many. And I'm not criticizing or putting down none of my people when I say dead mind state. I'm talking, when I say dead mind state, I'm talking about brothers and sisters that need to be resuscitated. Brothers and sisters that need to be regenerated, resurrected, because they have been in a mindset, in an environment that has sucked the life out of them. And when the life is no longer in you, that's called dead. So now we go into these communities to resuscitate, resurrect these brothers and sisters with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We go in there with good intentions. We risk our lives every single day dealing with young brothers and sisters and older brothers and sisters to protect our community from would-be violent offenders and other offenders of criminal activity. We do this every day. $700,000 is not nearly enough to pay organizations, several of them, to do the very work that law enforcement is paid to do. They're paid millions every year. Tens of millions every year to do the work that we're given $700,000 to do over a 2-year period. $350,000 must be split up upon multiple groups who the government approves the application of, because these organizations must first file an application saying that I would like to apply for this grant money to help prevent violence. These are my plans. And the government must then look over the plan and say, yes, if we like him, we like them, and we like them. We're gonna pay those brothers and sisters to implement their plans and see how they do. And over the next 90 days, we're gonna grade them. And after 6 months, we're gonna grade them. 9 months, we're gonna grade them. A year, we're gonna grade them. If their crime prevention measures does not exceed the 10% that the law enforcement already has in place, then they're not going to be entitled to any performance bonuses. And again, who's going to be the judge of whether or not that organization did a great job? So I'm just saying, I'm not going to say that I'm against paying community activists to implement measures to prevent crime in low-income neighborhoods. I'm definitely not against that. I'm 110% for that. I am just against a government that wants to drive the car and have us, the leaders, the community activists, sit in the back seat and tell us to get out when they want us to get out. I am against a government paying community activist groups, several groups, a lump sum of $350,000 to split up amongst those several groups for one entire year. Let me just give you an example. Say, for instance, I have a community or organization and I have 20 people with me, or I make up the 20th person, and you have 4 groups with 20 people in them. So that's 80 people that must be able to be employed off $350,000 a year. That's 8 people. And now you must factor in to the traveling, meeting places, providing foods and beverages and community help. Now it's so many other factors come into play that takes money. So now you have 80 people that must be paid off $350,000 per year. That's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of money, because one thing that I want us to remember is that crime prevention measures must take place every single day. There are no off days. Law enforcement has off days. They have pensions. They have all a PDO and all this other time off and vacation. We don't. We don't have that. We don't have that option. We have to go into those communities every single day. We have to deal with those brothers and sisters every single day. We have to show love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in our communities every single day. We must uplift our brothers and sisters in those communities every single day. We must educate our community every single day. We must inspire and motivate the brothers and sisters of our community every single day. So that's how I feel about the Shot Stopper program proposed by Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan. I'm not against community activism, putting together plans to strategically prevent crime from happening. I'm not against it. I'm for it 110%. I'm against the government tactics and the government lack of real understanding on or appreciation of our work. That's what I'm against. we need a board that will oversee our work. See, because we are an organization for the people, by the people. We represent the people. We can't say that about law enforcement. And I'm not putting down law enforcement. I'm just stating the facts. We can't say that law enforcement is for the people, by the people, and they serve and protect the people. We can't say that. We need an outside organization who will oversee the programs that the government chooses to give grant money to. We need a organization or committee that oversees these requirements implemented by the government officials in their choosing of the organizations that qualify for these grant money. We need to have those committee members to oversee that. We need to have the committee members be able to oversee how this government determines if this organization qualifies for the grant money and qualifies for more money and anything else. We need a committee that is able to speak on behalf of, in representation of the people, and make a real determination on whether or not more money is needed if these organizations are to be successful in crime prevention measures. We have to have people who's able to hold the government accountable. We can't complain to mama about what daddy doing, because they going to bed together every night. We need someone outside the home, someone who is not attached to mom and dad, to hold mom and dad accountable. That's what my issue is. I understand the need of the moment is to prevent crime from happening. I sympathize with so many family members who has lost a loved one just this year alone, for whatever reason. I sympathize. So I understand the need to put in place right now a crime prevention strategy. But I also don't want our community activist soldiers thrown out there to be crash dummies. Because we do this work because we love our community. Let's not allow the government to create conditions for us that we're not prepared to deal with. And I'm not talking about in the community. Signs and symbols for the conscious mind. Let's open our eyes up. Let's wisen up. And let's do the right thing. We are for the people, by the people. We represent the people by all means and any means necessary. That's what we do, because that's who we are. And we're going to allow no one to stand in the way of our success in quelling the violence in our neighborhoods. Not money, not material, or anything else will stand in the way of us succeeding on curtailing the crime in our neighborhoods. With that, I'm going to close with saying peace and love to those within the sound of my voice. And for those who cannot hear the sound of my voice, I said pass along the message, because someone needs to be inspired.